Namaste. I'm Uma Shah. I'll be the anchor for today's interactive discussion. Arts from India welcomes you all for another episode of interactive discussion of Classical Dance Forum from India. Through the discussion, experts and scholars share their knowledge. For today, the dance forum that will be discussed is Kuchipudi. We are very pleased to have Dr. Mysore Nagraj with us today. He is a renowned Kathak dancer and guru. He is also a scholar in all of the other classical for Indian dance forums of India. He is an acclaimed Kathak dancer and probably the first Kathak dancer from Mysore. He has trained extensively in several gharanas of Kathak. He is the recipient of Karnataka Kalashri Award. He is also known for the beautiful festival called Articulate India that he conducts on a monthly basis. He has toured around the world giving concerts and motivational speeches about the medium of dance. We are also pleased to have artist Avijit Das with us. Avijit is a spirited dancer who believes in Indian classical dance as not only a medium of showcasing the rich tradition, but also a naturalistic channel of expression that is innate to all cultures. With his immense conviction in the modern interpretation of the classical dance, he sometimes, unusually, challenges his audience to rejuvenate their sense of aesthetics. Avijit has learned Kuchipudi since the age of 5 under legendary gurus. He has participated in many international festivals outside India. He is a performing artist, and through his performances, he finds time to teach the aspirating students. I will now open the floor to Dr. Nagaraj and Avijit to start the discussion.
Thank you. After India got independence, I think there was a lot of serious attention given to the various performing art styles that was prevalent in the country. Considering the art forms which has withstood the test of time for a long time, and they classified them as classical dance. And Kuchipudi is one of that form which has been classified as classical dance of the country. And I would like Avijit Das to please enlighten us on the various aspects of the dance form, right from the historical perspective and also the changes it went through politically and until you took up to that dance. You know, we only hear Kuchipudi, an art form comes from the word Kuchipudi, that's the Kuchelapura, a village in now Andhra Pradesh, and that's how the art form of the Bhagavata Mela, enacting episodes from Bhagavatam and all the Vaishnavite stories. So I would love you to take us through the pages of history of the evolution of Kuchipudi for the uninitiated.
First of all, thank you, sir. for this wonderful way of explaining and the introduction. So, before I start my talk, I would like to chant a slokam. Karta karayachaiva prekshakascha anumodakaha sukrite duskrite chaivas chatva rasama bhaginaha. It says that behind every deed there are four people: performer or the doer, the person getting the actions done, the inspirer, and the supporter. My sincere thanks to Arts from India organization who is conducting and making platform for several artists from so many months. And this is such a platform that which has given chance to so many artists when there are no shows were happening during pandemic. And my sincere thanks to Ajay Virji for inviting me to perform in this wonderful Guru Purnima day and to share my art with all of you. And coming to the history of Kuchipudi, to keep it short, Kuchipudi started as a dance drama tradition, as we all know, and it comes from the Kuchipudi village, where there were 10 to 15 traditional and hereditary families were practicing this dance form. And mostly they were called, like, their surname was like Bhagavatula, Pashumarti, Tadepalli, Yelasharapu. These are the families used to practice this dance form. And it is believed that our Siddhendra Yogi, who is the father of Kuchipudi, he started teaching this dance form to the small little boys who were living in that village called Kuchipudi. And to give a little background of Siddhendra Yogi, it is believed that Siddhendra Yogi was a left home when he was a very small little boy, and he went to Varanasi, like in Varanasi, and some people believe that he came to Mysore or the other side of the south. So, but commonly believed that he went to Varanasi and there he got trained on Vedas, Agamas, and scriptures. And while coming back, he has to cross the Krishna river, and there he was about to drench in the rain because it was raining and the flood was going on. And there he told, Lord, if you rescue me from this situation, I'll dedicate my life on your feet. And Lord Vishnu has rescued him, and he went to the Kuchipuri village. And that's how the whole Vaishnavism cult, or the Vaishnavism started in this dance form. So majorly we see in Kuchipudi is all about Vaishnava Bhakti. And who are the people? These small little boys who were living in that village, all these major 10 to 15 Brahmins, hereditary practitioners, they were living in that village. They used to dedicate at least one boy from the family to learn this dance form and spread the Vaishnavism. The whole focus was to spread the bhakti. So the whole dance started with keeping the bhakti as a backbone or a vision of it. And even to that extent that the boys used to dance, put up a Stri Vesham, and they used to do this female role. It is believed that because it was difficult at that point of time due to the safety and going from one village to another village, so it was due to the safety the boys used to perform even the female role as well. So that's how the Kuchipudi started. So before it's Kuchipudi, so it is believed that late Dr. Chinta Ramanathan's research talks about that Kuchipudi started as Sanskrit Rupakas, then it's became Kalapams. After Kalapams, it became Yakshagana Natakam, then Kelikas, and the solo format which we see today. Solo format is called Vyastra Nityam. So this is how the evolution of Kuchipudi happened. So what today we are doing, Kuchipudi is not only one aspect of Kuchipudi, that solo dance format is Kuchipudi. Kuchipudi has so many different branch to it. Like Kalapam itself is part of Kuchipudi and itself is a dance drama format. But we cannot say that solo dance format today, what I perform or the other artists are performing, that's alone is Kuchipudi. No, it is not like that. Because Kuchipudi, when it got recognized in the conference of 1959, when this All India classical dance conference happened in Delhi. So that time, V.S. Appa Rao, if I'm not wrong, please pardon, forgive me if I'm saying some wrong name. I think he was there for the conference to represent Kuchipudi, and Kuchipudi was not recognized at that point of time because due to the controversy of it looks like Bharatanatyam. So why do we give another name to classical art, classicism to the another art form which is very close to Kuchipudi? So following that year, 1960s, there was another conference happened in Hyderabad Sangeet Natak Academy, where the director of Sangeet Natak Academy from Delhi came to the conference, where Kuchipudi's different aspects of Kuchipudi were presented, where Bhama Kalapam was presented, and there were pure Kuchipudi pieces, solo pieces were presented, and the solo format which we see. Then after that, the Kuchipudi got recognition as a classical art form in 1960s. So what we see today's Kuchipudi solo pieces, which we perform eventually, which has grown, it started during the break of a dance drama, like from between a break from first scene to the second scene. As I earlier mentioned, that Kuchipudi is a dance drama format, and between that scene there used to be one shabdam, or there used to be one little tarangam, or a small piece, small kirtanam. That's how the solo item has been introduced. And looking at that, Indrani Rahmanji, if I'm not wrong, Indrani Rahmanji was the first female dancer who came from outside to learn Kuchipudi into the because Kuchipudi was practicing it was practiced by till then the hereditary and traditional families, and there were no female dancers there until Indrani Rahmanji has entered. So she learned, I believe that she learned the Dashavatara Shabdam, and she started performing, and that's how Kuchipudi became very popular at that point of time, because she used to do, in her program, she used to do one small piece of Kuchipudi item, that was Dashavatara Shabdam or some other item, I think. So that's how the Kuchipudi evolutions from a dance drama format to a solo format happened. Then now I think 1960s onwards, and there is a huge contribution by our guru Dr. Vempati Chinnasathamji, who introduced female dancer to do a male role. Even the Shiva used to be done by female dancer, like Manju Bhargavi Garu is the biggest example, who was very, very well known for doing Shiva, and she being a female artist doing Shiva, because it was a male dance tradition where Vempati Chinnasathamji Guruji has introduced female to do a male dance, male character. Yes, sir.
Yes, Avijit ji, we have come to the time span in the history of Kuchipudi when what used to be a dance drama has now become a classical dance form to be presented for in limited time. Probably, if I'm right, it used to be Navajanardanam episodes for 9 evenings, going right through the night from the evening to the wee hours of the morning. But now nobody does Navajanardanam. So everything has been condensed, like a fast food restaurant. Now you need to cater to the sensitivity and sensibility of today's audience. So what used to be for several days has been condensed to 3 hours, and then it came to 2 hours, and then now people ask you to perform for 45 minutes, even in very big known festivals. While describing, you mentioned that there were certain repertoire which were inserted between the scenes of the drama theater. Now, are those repertoires have become a prominent dance numbers in your usual presentation of Kuchipudi today? And
Uh,
also, is there any influence of the Margam tradition which the Bharatanatyam people formed,
hmm,
especially by Rukmini Devi Arundale? She gave
hmm,
a format.
hmm.
So, has that got any influence in the format of what Kuchipudi is done today?
Uh, to be honest, sir, so the first format, understanding of format and giving a structure of a format has been done by Lakshminarayana Sastri Garu, who traveled Madras in his journey, in his dance career, and he has given us 25 numbers of items as a format to perform, and there were varnams used to be performed, and there were more of abhinaya pieces and then tarangam, but it was not in a certain way that after this it has to be done the other one. But right now we are trying to see, because as you said that there are very few festivals which give us an 1 hour slot to perform, so it's very hard to even choose. And I think I have last performed some one festival which has given me 35 minutes, 40 minutes doing a solo show. That's one of the national level festival. But again, so it's very hard to even think of a format which can cater to for a 1 hour show. And but if you see parallel to Bharatnatyam, so we do have Purva Rangabidhi, where you in, the first piece which we do Purva Rangabidhi, then we go to Shabdam is a very major factor for Kuchipudi repertoire, because the Shabdam has evolved during the time, when Muslim kings were ruling, and that wherever Salamu was used, the lyrical part of that, and to certain time, the Kuchipudi was also patronized by the our Muslim kings. So the Shabdam is very important, and then we come to Tarangam. Right now, I think we are looking at the Tarangam as a centerpiece. If we can have an understanding, if we parallel to Bharatanatyam, so Varnam in Bharatanatyam can be replaced as the Tarangam of Kuchipudi. Then we have Kshatragna Padam, Javalis, which is very popular, Telugu Padams and Javalis. And Annamaya Kirtanam is one of the most celebrated, I think, Kirtanam which Kuchipudi perform, artists perform. And the Tilana, which is but again, Tilana also is an adaptation which is South Indian art form did not have, and so several years back, so it's an
Yeah.
adaptation again. But as an art form, we are always inspired by each other, I think. So we are inspired by the other artist as an artist also. So if we like something, how we can incorporate in our style, in our own techniques, rather than diluting the art form, that is, I think, always there. And that's how I think our Indian classical art and dance style is surviving, because we are all inspired by each other, and we are very neighboring state to if you see like Odissi, we have so much of influence. Even Kuchipudi do have, people say there are a lot of influence of Odissi. We can't say that, but every art form is influenced by each other. I might be wrong, sir, but it's my personal feelings that we are all inspired by each other.
But don't you think this concept of getting influenced by another form dilutes the nuances of this particular art form? And one fine day, probably a century later, all dance forms of India might look similar. See, as it is for a layman, the
Hmm.
Bharatanatyam and Kuchipudi both look alike, but I can understand the difference. But for a
Hmm.
layman, the costume looks similar, the hand movements look similar, both are very geometrically movement across space. But then when you start allowing influence of another form into your form, I think one fine day the line between two forms gets disappeared and both form gets merged, and there is
Hmm.
no variegated dance forms of the country. So
I
it's just my
totally agree
personal
with you, sir.
opinion.
No, I totally agree with you. I should have been a little more specific about inspired by, in terms of the ideas or the the topic we take and the kind of literature we use, because even if we see in Bharatanatyam also there are a lot of Telugu padams, and the Varnam also there are a lot of Telugu Varnam, but Bharatanatyam is still doing in the technique of Bharatanatyam. But if Kuchipudi we do it in the same way, but Kuchipudi techniques are very different. As I said, the technical aspect, that's how the art form distinguish themselves because of their own technicality, because the techniques is very strong and it is very different. I totally agree with you, sir, that for a layman it is very difficult to understand the difference, but after a point you really realize it's more fluid when it comes to Kuchipudi. It is not that straightforward approach when it comes to Bharatanatyam is more geometric, but Kuchipudi is not that geometric. With my experience, which I have seen and how I have been trained, it is not that geometric, or neither it is so straightforward approach. It's always fluid. As an example, if I have to move my hand from point A to B, Bharatanatyam can go straight and horizontal line, but Kuchipudi will go little bit wavy movement, and there is little more fluidity. That's what my understanding, and I think it is when we present it in a very perfect, or the way it has to be presented, I think we can definitely differentiate both the art form.
Yeah, so I mean, I am of the opinion that the artist has to be very careful in imbibing the nuances of another form, and I hope Avijit will keep the pristine purity of the art form. And I have seen that in your performance. It's
I
beautiful.
must
You
tell
have
you,
kept it
sir,
up.
thank you
Yeah.
so much, sir. And I think I have that clarity just because I have been trained in Bharatanatyam for 4 years in Kalakshetra. So I know what, how it looks like if I do this, the way when the Ivuku, the way Kuchipudi does, we don't keep our leg back. Ivuku for Kuchipudi is keeping our knees up in front. For Bharatanatyam, we have to keep our leg back and then give the Kuluku. So the way we walk itself is very different. So that gave me little bit little more clarity of what not to be done first place. What should be done, that's a different thing, but what we should not do.
Very true. That's the most important. What should not be done should be concentrated. Yeah, and tell me, now that you learned Bharatanatyam and also now you're focusing on the Kuchipudi, and is that the field where you want to further your art, or do you want to balance both the styles?
To be honest, I don't perform Bharatanatyam. I think nobody has seen me doing Bharatanatyam till date, except my Arangetram in Kalakshetra. After I
Oh,
finished my Kalakshetra, I never performed Bharatanatyam because uh, I'm very conscious about when I have to do an art form, it takes life to get the style in artist body. So I consciously don't practice Bharatanatyam at all, and I don't perform Bharatanatyam. It's been more than 10 years now, so I don't do that.
okay, but yeah, but what made you take up Kuchipudi as your art form to pursue? What
That's
inspired you?
okay. That's very interesting thing. I think I always ask myself every night before I go to bed, what inspired me when I never knew what Kuchipudi is until I came to Chennai and South India, and until I entered Kuchipudi Art Academy. So I was always wanted to be a performer, and my inspiration was to be on stage, or aspiration, you must say that, I wanted to be a performer. I wanted to do a solo art, like an art form which I can perform, on stage, or so that's how I thought, Bharatanatyam is the art form which can give me that scope to go on stage and perform, do a solo art form. So that's how I entered. I came to Chennai. I got admission to Kalakshetra, and one certain day I was traveling by bus, and I was crossing Kuchipudi Art Academy, and I saw the Kuchipudi Art Academy's board, and which I was little skeptical about it because I heard that art form name, but I never seen it's not so many performer where I come from. So I was not so introduced to the art form, I must say. So one certain day I went, one of the holidays, I think I went to Kuchipudi Art Academy, and I entered the academy, and I saw Atana Jatiswaram. The moment I saw that the students dancing Atana Jatiswaram, my mind was blown, and I thought, okay, this is what exactly I want to do it, just because of the speed and the tempo and the grace which was because I come from Kalakshetra. The idea of Kalakshetra is very geometric and straightforward approach. Even it comes to the way you hold your hand, the way you stand, the way, and it is absolutely contrast. It's just the other side of the what I was getting trained, and I think that like shook me really. I think it gave me a little bit of a challenge that is it possible to do so much of movements when your footwork is in a third speed, your torso is moving in a second speed, and your bhava is in a very slow movement. So it's like in a combination of all. It has grace, it has speed, it has tempo, it has charm, it has the covering space, the move, everything is spark for me. I think that gave me an idea because I wanted to take it learn. I never thought I'm going to perform. To be honest, I'm telling you till even today also. So I never thought I can perform this art form because it is very challenging to do Kuchipudi in a proper manner. The way Bhempati Guruji has been structured the art form and the way he has looked at the art form and the kind of performer Kuchipudi Art Academy has presented or created, I must say, it's very difficult. To be honest, what Manju Bhargavi Garu has did in Shiva Tandavam, the Shiva's dance, it's very difficult unless until you practice every single day with that clarity execution level. It's impossible, I think. And that was something which shook me, and I thought, okay, let me learn it first and forget about performing. I never thought I will be performing that because I was very focused in Kalakshetra. I was studying in Kalakshetra. I was very dedicated to do Bharatanatyam and all. Then more I entered this art form because I never used to go back to my hometown during summer vacation, which was two months summer vacation we had in Kalakshetra. And I asked if I can stay in the hostel, and that's how I started Kuchipudi training. And more I started learning, and I was in love with that art form. I said, okay, let me start, do it. But to start, it was very challenging because my body was trained in a very different manner, and to relearn it and do it in another art form, it was big challenge for me.
Wonderful, wonderful to know this perspective of yours as to why you chose Kuchipudi and what enticed you to do that. But you were born and you were raised and you started practicing at a time when this Bhagavata Mela and all this was vanishing, and what it's a solo art form started evolving, and it was structuring itself into a finished presentation. And what used to be a male dominated art form slowly became female dominated, though it doesn't matter. But there were more women taking to Kuchipudi and performing, and they came to very high level of expertise and performance everywhere. But as a male dancer, what were the challenges you had to go through to establish yourself when people think dance is a prerogative of women? How did you adjust yourself in that framework, and then still you are there in the field? What are the challenges you had to go through?
To be honest, if I tell, I'm the most luckiest person in this world. I like one of the most, because I come from a family where my grandfather was a theater artist and he himself was a dancer. Yes. And my parents were very open minded for me to take up dance. And we never had this concept of the understanding as because my parents always told me, do what you like to do and what makes you happy in your life. And I think that's the biggest, because when my parents were so supportive, so I really did not even think of what others are saying, because that doesn't matter to me, because I come from a family where the art has been there. And I never seen my grandfather, but I always heard that he was a very good dancer. He used to put 7 to 8 pots in his head and he used to do in the theater, because we call jatra, and he was a very popular dancer in the jatra at that point of time. But so he left his even the job, like the government job, to just do jatra. So he was that dedicated. So I think that was there, that is still there in my family, that whatever it makes me you feel happy, just do it. But if you're passionate about it, and I think my parents never told me that you have to get a job, you have to earn this much of money, you have to earn. I never had that kind of pressure of, like, I have to do something for them, because they were very independent by themselves. They let me do what I want. I think that gave me a, kind of a big support of. I was not worried about, like, I have to take up a parallel job where I can support dance, because I was full time focused in dance. So I think that was my family was the biggest support for me, I feel.
But yes, indeed, like you said, you're very lucky to have the background of
Hmm.
your family and the support.
Hmm.
But how about the society? No, how about the society accepting you? Did you have to go through that phase of rejection, ridicule, or seeing you in a different way until you prove that you can dance like a man and dance is not a prerogative of women only? Did you have to go through any such situation?
To be honest, I was fighting with myself rather than I was fighting with the outside world, because after a point when I was learning, and I thought, like, how long I'm going to learn, and when I'm going to earn money out, like, when I'm going to earn money, when I'm, like, how I'm going to survive. When that concept of surviving came, then I started thinking how I'm going to earn money out of it. So then I started thinking, because it's more of, my journey was more of fighting with myself rather than fighting with the society. Because as I said, I outside world never put me in a place that I feel insecure. Because in school, when I used to dance, I was always somebody who is very well known in the school. So I had that privilege of me being little well known than compared to my classmates, just because I used to dance. So I always, my school teacher used to ask me, so what you're planning to do? So you're going to, like, take up dance as a full-time career. It is very good. Go ahead and do it. But do you know which university? Because I have this teachers also who were very, inspiring and supportive, to be honest. And when I came to Kalakshetra, I saw so many dancers around me who are very well established and who are doing well in their career. And I never had that kind of an insecurity. But when I became independent, when I came to the outer world and, started my own journey as an independent artist, then I realized it, how hard it is. But I was always happy that I'm one of the lucky person that who is doing what they love to do in their life, because it is so precious. Because I know so many of my friends, they wanted to be a tabla artist, but they are doing, they has to go to mid school, like medical school, just because their parents want them to be a doctor. But they end up, not being the best of the doctor, but they are just, doing something in the field of doctor. So I feel I'm very happy at the end of the day. I know it is very hard for a dancer to survive and sustain, but at the end of the day, I think we are all happy when you go to bed and think that, what we do is so precious, not everybody can do, rather than me going to a 9 to 4 job and coming back and not being able to dance. It is the most toughest thing, I think, any dancer who is, the soul is a dancer, is very toughest thing, I feel. Yes, economically,
I
I
know.
don't get that much of, I don't have that much of bank balance, neither I get a fixed salary. But the kind of happiness I get and the kind of satisfaction I have, very few people have, I feel.
No, my inquisitiveness was from the angle of being a male dancer. Suppose an organizer has to organize a performance, and then he has a lot of options with the female dancers. But did you have to face any situation that you had to push yourself to promote yourself, as against easily achievable by the female dancers?
Uh, no, I'll say I'm very strongly believe, till date is my experience, is absolutely totally my personal experience. I never have to face that, by God grace, that I don't have to push. Because I believe that, yes, there are like when I took up dance as like full time, because there's only female dancers I used to see, and in the Doordarshan it was the only one channel which used to show dance, like dancers at the Sunday night. I think 11 a.m. at 11 p.m. I used to wait for when this Doordarshan show used to come. But eventually, when I started performing, I saw so many male dancers, and like even if you see today, the arts from India is hosting like wonderful male artists. There are only male artists in this platform today.
But
Even
this
those.
is a special edition. This is a special edition.
No, there are so many festivals where there are no male artists, but right now we see every festival has male artists equally, because there are demands for male dancers. I feel there are demands for male dancers too. Definitely there are demands. Otherwise, I wouldn't be survived, because I don't come from any family background where well, my father was or mother was a like Kuchipudi artist. Absolutely. So this art field has given me an opportunity to like I cannot say no, there are no opportunities, because I am dancing just because there are opportunities uh, has been created, or I have to like write emails to several peoples to like for an opportunity. But I think we all do it, even if or for a female dancer also they have to do it, because the competition in female dancers are more than, because the number of male dancers compared to female dancers are less, I feel. With the female dancers, there are a lot of very good female dancers are like in the field. I think the competition over there is more than us, I feel.
Okay, I mean, I do realize, Avijit, you're truly blessed with all these positive aspects, which is encouraging you to stay in this beautiful art form. Now, when we talk about dance, it's broadly two aspects. One is the technical aspect of the dance, the other is emotive dance. Where do you think you are you are more closer to, what is closer to your heart, the technicality of it or the abhinaya part of it? What is your forte?
Um, excuse me. If I could just jump in a little bit and expand on that question, Avijit, while you are answering that question, I would like to hear you say a little bit more about the technicalities of Kuchipudi that differentiates it from Bharatanatyam in terms of mudras, in terms of abhinayas, in terms of, you did talk about the fluidity in Kuchipudi, while it's not present in the pure form of Bharatanatyam. But I would like our audience to get a little bit more understanding of the genre of Kuchipudi. So when you do perform on the 24th and 25th festival, it will be a lot more appreciative.
Yeah, that was my next question. Yes, you can go ahead. I think you can combine this talk with what is your favorite aspect of the nritta or the nritya, and then how should a layman understand Kuchipudi from the other dance forms, and what are you planning to present for this festival? I think you can combine all this and then share it with us.
Uh, yes, Nagaraj sir. So the technicality is because in any Indian classical dance is strictly follow Nritya and Natya, which is the format of our dance styles of Indian classical dance. When it comes to Nritya aspects, I think we are very like the style which I perform, the Vimpurachanaswatam Guruji style, is very close to Natya Shastra aspects, which we follow, because we use nrittahastas a lot. We use the bhumicharis and the akashacharis. The piece which I'm going to present is Srivastakam, where master has incorporated akashachari, which is parshvakantacharis. Yeah, I think he has used that parshvakantachari, and which is very very prominent. And he has used dandapada hasta. He has used dola hastas, even when it comes to nritta hastas. And in technicality, Kuchipudi do use all the five pada vedas, which is which is generally in general Nata Shastra follows. And we do have which is very unique to Kuchipudi is our Shakata Vadana Padavedas and the Kartari Swastika Padavedas, which is majorly we can see in Masters choreography, especially in Tarangam, where we talk about the Padavedas, where we use the Suchi Pada, which is not in mentioned in Natashastra, but Masters has incorporated the Suchi Pada in to show Padavedas at Shakata Vadana, where we hold the both the big toes, and then we move our feet. So we lock like this, then we move our feet. So that's a Sakata Vadana, which is very typical of Kuchipudi's movement. And definitely the plate, using the plate in Kuchipudi is very unique aspects of Kuchipudi, which very rarely I think we don't see any other dance styles using as prominently as Kuchipudi do use. Even
true, Tarangam. You mean you're referring to Tarangam?
Yeah, referring to Tarangam in the sense that incorporation of plate is majorly used in Tarangam, but there are so many other items. Also, there are artists who has used plate in even Tillana, even in invocation, where there are place or scope of showing the padas, different pada vedas, where we can also use little bit of the plate movement. So that in Nritya aspects. And definitely Abhinaya Kuchipudi have Vachika Abhinaya is very prominent in the Chaturvidha Abhinaya. When you talk about Angika Abhinaya, which we can see in to get a closer glimpse of Angika Abhinaya, if we can see in Master's choreography, like Guru Pemparichan Satamji's choreography, when using even shoulder movement for doing the sadness, like you keep your hands up, then you show the sadness to just using your shoulder. So Angika Abhinaya is also very prominent, and which is also seen in Sanchara Dadaradara. There are so many Abhinaya pieces, Muttugare Yashodas, where you can see a lot of Angika aspect has been incorporated in Abhinaya piece, which is not Abhinaya, is not just pure Abhinaya like an execution where you sit and do Abhinaya, but the bringing it closer to Shastra in terms of prayoga. So that has been the vision of Guruji's, and also he has done it very smoothly, which is I think till date we all performed about those items. And the piece which I'm going to do is Srivastakam, which is which is composition of Adi Shankaracharya's, and which is set to Ragam Mohana Mantalam Khanda Chapu. And their master has incorporated Akashachari very beautifully, where we definitely will be able to see that. And
would you be attempting before performance to highlight that aspect of Akashcharis and Bhumicharis so the audience will be able to appreciate when you have incorporated that in the choreography? Is that a possibility? Just to demonstrate what the charis you are employing.
Right now, it is little difficult because of the space
no,
where
not
I am
now.
right now.
I mean, when you are going to present your actual performance, before that, maybe take 2 minutes or 3 minutes, because I know you require space for that to execute the complete movement. You cannot show it now.
Especially like Parshvakranta, which is we do it in Kuchipudi, using Parshvakranta, the way Parshvakranta is in we are doing this with the movement. That is, I think the term Parshvakranta and the Akashachari, who I think most of us knows the practitioner of Indian classical dance, so they can be easily identify that part of the Akashachari.
Yeah, but we would appreciate if you demonstrate it, so that a person who does not know Kuchipudi should be able to suddenly grasp what you have said and how you have used it in your dance form. That will be very appreciated.
Yes. Yeah. And another interesting aspect of Kuchipudi, we have daravus, like Pravesha Daravu, Nishkamana Daravus, Sambadana Daravus, which is not Bharatanatyam style, Bharatanatyam artist does not use. because Pravesha Daruv is because there is a Daruvu to enter a character, Nishkamana Daruv, how the character is exiting. There's a Sambadana Daruv, which is about where the Vachika Vinaya is very predominant and take over. And Kuchipudi do have delivering dialogue, which is, as I said, Vachika Vinaya is very prominent, which very few classical dance uses, especially Bharatanatyam doesn't use Vachika Vinaya when they perform. Only
Okay.
Kuchipudi, when it comes to Kalapam, Bhama Kalapam, where there's a Sambadana between Madhavi and Satyabhama, or where there will be discussion between Madhavi and Satyabhamas, or any Golla Kalapam, where is a discussion between the the Brahmin and the Golla Bhama. So those aspects, these are very unique aspects of Kuchipudi, the Vachika Vinaya, which majorly is not used in any other classical dance form.
You
Present day
mean,
even.
yeah, Vachika Vinaya means using speech
Yes,
as a means of
Sambadana.
expression,
Yeah. So
which is
again, even if I
yeah.
if I use the term Vachikavana, it's quite vast, because Vachikavana has the Dhruvaganas. So again, the Dhruvaganas. Why I said Vachikavana, because Dhruvaganas, which is again Dhruvaganas, is very close to the Darubus which we have in Kuchipudi dance styles, actually.
Yeah, I mean,
And also we are
why I
very
would,
we are
sorry.
very close to that we do have Purvaranga Vidhi, where this Nirgita has been played, and we do have uh, where the that Atudayam comes, and they sit, and they do their instrument setting, because in general we do that so that's why I
Okay,
was trying to refer.
I have a final, I don't call it as a question, it's my own inquisitiveness. A final question for you.
Mm.
What repertoire would you like to revive which we have lost?
Mm.
And number two, what is the innovation you would like to do for your future?
Uh, right now, thinking about future is very unpredictable. I don't want to predict anything, to be honest, because we did not expect things what is going on in our life. So, I think this is something which is because I wanted to do a dance drama, which is did not happen. So, I right now I'm not thinking anything, but my understanding or to thought of presentation, I always think where I'm performing it, because the audience is very important for me. Because if I am dancing, what I might be very good in technicality, I might be very good in my art and craft, but if I'm not able to reach the audience what they are expecting, then I'm a failure in terms of to reaching, because my art form has to reach the audience. So where I'm performing, that's very important for me as an artist. And then I choose the item what I'm going to perform. If I'm performing for an Western audience, I cannot take a very traditional uh, piece, which is very hard for even for a person who knows the language to understand how even if I explain. So it will be difficult for me to as an audience to make them understand, because I myself has to go through a lot of studies to understand that, and I cannot expect my audience to understand within 5 minutes or 10 minutes of my performance. So I rather choose something which is can be relevant to the audience. That's very important for me as an artist. So
Wonderful.
I def
So, yeah, it means that you tailor the program depending on the sensibility of the audience to whom you're performing. And
Absolutely, and I think
yeah,
that's something I always think about it. I always think about it, because if I'm performing and my audience doesn't understand what I'm doing, I am not doing justice to that form, because my job is to cater. My job is to make people understand my art form. That's my aim as an artist.
wonderful, wonderful, Avijit Dasji, and hope your future is bright. You're already one of the brightest stars in the horizon of Kuchipudi classical dance of India. May you raise further and further, and we are all looking forward to watch your performance. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, sir, for because I'm a big fan of yours, because you are somebody I always look up to, and definitely I was so privileged when Ajay ji said Nagaraj ji is going to take your interview. I said absolutely, I can blindfolded I can, because I know you like kind of a person you are, and the knowledge you has over the year, how much knowledge you have, which is, I have a lot of respect for you, sir, and hope to see you in person and meet you very soon.
Thank you. Thank you.
Dr. Nagaraj, before we sign off, I would just like to ask your opinion or a view in a brief. You are an exponent from a different genre of dance. And going
Yes.
through this lively discussion of Kuchipudi, what are your views about the journey of Kuchipudi into Indian classical dance? And before you end, what would be an open note that you could give for blooming aspirants to join the classical dance genres?
Oh, well, Umaji, I come from an era of the growth of classical arts where I am midway between the tradition and modernity. I personally appreciate very highly traditional way of performing. When it comes to Kuchipudi, Kuchipudi is basically a theater. It originated as a theater, like I mentioned, Navajanardanam. It's about the story of Lord Vishnu and specifically with Krishna as the character, which used to be unfolded every day evening for 9 days, but we have never got the opportunity to witness such wonderful theatrical performances. All we now get to see is glimpse of some items which possibly would have been performed in that big theater, big long theater. So I am glad that there are many wonderful artists who are preserving it. But today, what used to be the purpose of dance, because dance was an act of worship and the body was an instrument of devotion to express that devotion. But today, classical arts also has become a form of entertainment.
Yeah.
But so, I mean, generation like Avijit Das has been contributing to its preservation and taking it further for prosperity. They are doing a wonderful job by maintaining the spiritual element along with the entertainment value by incorporating innovative choreographic technique but remaining within the grammar of the art form. So, my advice to new entrants to this art form is please learn the tradition pakka, thoroughly. Even Natya Shastra, Bharatamuni in his concluding statement says this is only a guideline for you, but there is always a scope for you to innovate, to develop, create, do something new. But in that effort of doing something new, it should not become a poor cousin of the Kuchipudi or poor cousin form of any other art form. So one has to learn the traditional things perfectly. Once you have mastered all the alphabets and the grammar of the art form, then you can launch yourself, and it is the audience who are going to test you, and if whatever you have created is accepted, then that lies the success of the program.
That's
So my advice for every new student who wants to learn any art form including Kuchipudi, please first understand the art, learn the tradition, and then spread your wings, and then fly to new frontiers.
that's a really wonderful advice to not only new aspirants but even for the ones that are in the art forum, that are learning, that are trying to incorporate other genres, not only other genres, but also to incorporate Western dance forms into traditional Indian class forms. They need to understand the fine line between losing the purity and the essence, and also incorporating and growing. That is a very fine line, and it was beautifully expressed by the both of you. We really thank you for the time you have taken, and
Thank
I
you.
have learned a lot about the evolution of Kuchipudi today. And Avijit, I am looking forward to seeing your performance on the 24th and 25th. I know it will be one of the days, and it will be announced shortly as to which day you'll be performing. And I'm looking forward to that. And also, I'm looking forward to hopefully attend the live concert of Dr. Nagaraj. Thank you.
Possibly.
Thank you very,
Abhi,
very much once again, Arts of India. Thank you for taking the time. And, let's keep this growth continuing. Thank you and namaste.
Thank you.